I think he has, again, the right and the authority to speak on this topic because the proof is in all of his products. Master P should stand for the proof is in all of his products. The proof is in the products, right? What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Practice the Podcast, where we fuse research and culture to help you develop the mindset, habits, and skills you need in order to live out your purpose with confidence. I'm your host, Coach Rees. Now it's time to get better. Let's grow.
We talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice.
Practices are meant to be competitive. They're meant to be competitive. If your practices aren't more competitive than the games themselves, you're doing the wrong thing.
Y'all, it has been way too long, way too long since I've been able to sit down and commit to starting season 3 of the podcast. And when I say that I'm excited to be back in this thing, I mean it. If you watch or listen to any of the previous seasons, you know that I always came like excited, but now I'm really excited because I was able to get some heavy things off of my plate. One of those things is my dissertation. Now I'm not done yet, but I was able to get the heavy lifting off that allowed me to pour back into the podcast in the way that I really want to. And I'm just excited for the podcast because it's a space that allows me to pour, to be creative, to speak, to talk, and to just vibe with whoever it is that's listening. So if you're a listener, I appreciate you. If you're a watcher, I appreciate you. If you subscribe on YouTube or Apple or Spotify or whatever it is, and you're here and you show up, like, just please know that I truly appreciate you because, like, I would do this if you weren't here, but you being here makes it even better, and it enables me to be able to show up that much more because I'm not just here to hear myself speak. Like, I want to be able to speak to bless you in a way that's going to leave a positive impact on your life, so that way you can live out, again, your purpose with confidence. So I'm excited to move into this episode. Over the last month and some, I've been able to really have an idea of what I want the podcast to look like and how I want it to show up. What that looks like from a video stance and also what that looks like from an audio experience, but really what's the content? And I want to double down on fusing research and culture. And when I talk about culture, I'm talking about Black culture, pop culture, hip hop culture, R&B culture, all the things that just kind of make up for the culture, right? But bringing in that research piece is a big deal because I'm on my way to being a doctor and I want to be able to feed all of the knowledge that I'm getting from other spaces that you may not tap into, but also add value to culture, to knowing, okay, that makes sense. But at the end of the day, the number one thing is I want to be able to provide you with applicable things that you could say, boom, thanks, Coach Rees. I learned that from you and now I can go apply that to my life immediately or sometime in the near future. That's ultimately my mission here. So I want to dive deeper, as you'll hear, into more stories, using stories as case studies and people and music and movies and all the things that inspire me to go, ooh, I want to talk about that. And that's what this is. I want to talk about it and I want to teach it and I want to help you apply it and I want to apply it to my life, period, point blank. That's it. So today we're talking about consistency. Now, I have a love relationship with consistency. I think as we all do, right? I am consistent in some areas more than I am in other areas. And my mission is to get consistent across the board, right? In every single aspect. And one thing that I've been struggling with consistency in, and it's not even just been for the last years. This has been for the last over a decade. And so what that means to me is consistency in the area of creating content. That has been my biggest thing for multiple reasons. And I've definitely taken time to assess it and I just have to get better. And today I'm using Master P to help us get over our consistency hump. So for me, it's consistency with content in multiple areas. For you, it might be something different. But I think that we can learn from Master P to help us figure out how do we grow and being consistent in different areas of our life. Okay, so our quote from today comes from none other than Percy Miller, Master P, where he says consistency is what's going to get you to the next level. Okay, Master P, Mr. Make 'em say, said consistency is what is going to get you to the next level. And I thoroughly stand by and support this message. So let's take a quick second to hear what Master P had to say.
Consistency is the key. That's where the dedication got to kick in, the sacrifice. But consistency is what gonna get you to the next level. It's doing something every day. And people might not even see the results, but you know, I'm doing this every day. Yeah. I'm gonna get there, no matter what, no matter who tell me no.
So as we can hear, right, Master P is talking about that consistency is key. And not only is consistency key to getting us to the next level, consistency is key to developing confidence. And the reason why this is so important is because literally confidence is a psychological mindset that's built off of consistent repetition, multiple repetition, being able to look back and say and remember what you've done, who you've done, all the things you've accomplished, and doing them and doing them, which is why this podcast is called Practice, right? Because practice doesn't make perfect, practice produces excellence. And in the midst of that, the producing, the consistent, the showing up, that consistency is literally what's going to develop whatever it is that you're looking for, right? And so what's dope about Master P is actually, let me go backwards real quick. I got to make sure we talk about our song for this episode. So the song for this episode is by Master P, and it's Make 'Em Say, because what's so dope about that is Master P has been making us say, for years on end because of his consistency. And I just think that that is mad dope. So when you get a second, make sure you head over to wherever you listen to music and just Make 'Em Say, a play, because it'll give you that nostalgic vibe of, you know, wherever you were back in the early thousands, late 1990s. But let's take a time to dive into the story, a little bit of the story, because we're going to talk about Master P a lot throughout this season. But just dive into a little bit of the story of Master P, Percy Miller. So he started No Limit Records back in 1991. 1991. Now, I don't know about how old you was in 1991, but I was one. So that means No Limit Records has been around for like 32 years. So the reason why I think Master P has a right to be able to speak on consistency, because I think that he is the ultimate, one of the ultimate up there of what it looks like to bet on yourself and to be consistent and wait for the results to show up, and then leverage and grow and continue and reap and sow. Like, he's been doing this, whatever this is, like sowing into himself, being a CEO, developing, growing, and pouring into other people for the last 32 plus years. Now, to me, that's pretty dope. And so Master P developing No Limit Records around 1991, selling tapes and CDs, and opened up a record store, and going from New Orleans to, I believe it was the Bay Area, and just doing all the things that he's doing now. Like, bruh got cereal. How you go from being a hood cat to having your own cereal? Like, that's consistency. He had his own sneakers. He has his own chips, and they're bomb, by the way. I had some of them rap snacks one time. I had the Cardi B joints, fire. And then he's got his like own top rum. Like, he has his own line of all these different things. And the reason why I think that is because he was consistent. So I think he has, again, the right and the authority to speak on this topic, because the proof is in all of his products. Master P should stand for the proof is in all of his products. The proof is in the products, right? Like that literally is what it is. But it also is in the consistent development. And I think the consistent growth, right? Seeing him as a Black father in multiple areas and showing up for majority of his kids, from what we can see and what I can see through media, with his sons at hoop. Obviously you've seen stuff, I don't know if obviously, but you've seen stuff maybe through like social media with the Shade Room with him and Romeo. Then he had a daughter who passed, and multiple different things. Like, but from what I see though, is he keeps showing up. And that's a big deal, right? Like, a part of being consistent isn't just in producing your products, but it's also in showing up as a human, as a father, as a person, right? And I think that that's something I could respect, as he keeps showing up and tries to show up in different ways. And so here's what I want us to take from this. From a research perspective, again, we know that confidence is a psychological mindset, and confidence is based off of the compounding efforts, brick by brick, right? And that's exactly what consistency is. So again, when Master P says consistency is what's going to get you to the next level, think of the consistency as being brick, 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 brick. And the more consistency that you have developed underneath you, obviously the higher levels you get to, right? But I want us to look at this now from kind of a different angle and bringing it down. I'm going to use my life as a little bit of example here. So I mentioned at the top of the episode that I started creating content, or I've struggled with creating content consistently. And when I say consistently, I mean every single day, or sticking with something for longer than who knows what, right? Maybe a month or two. And I believe that this has been my Achilles heel to me getting to the next level. So this is me verbally and publicly asking you for accountability. If you watch this at any point in time, hopefully you watch it right when it drops, or maybe you watch it a year or something from now. But this is me verbally saying I am committing to creating and having pieces of content go out every single day for a year. So this is May 5th, 2023. So this is not May 5th. It's May 8th, 2023. I got the 5th from the 5. Anywho, that's my mission. And the reason why this is really important to me and the reason why I need to stick to this is because I've worked really hard in every other area, I believe. But the consistency in putting out content has been an Achilles heel, I believe, and allowing me to establish my expertise across the board. Now, what's funny about this is I've been creating YouTube videos since I was like maybe 19 or 20. 19 or 20 since YouTube dropped, 2021. Creating YouTube videos and doing my thing, doing something very similar to this. And then I stopped. Why? I have no idea. I know I went overseas and different things happened, so that might have been why I stopped. And then I was very slow to pick back up. It wasn't probably until recently, the last year or so, that I started creating videos again. Then you have obviously platforms like TikTok, and then on IG I started creating stuff and was pretty more consistent on that. And we do challenges, 30 days, a post every day, different things like that, right? But I've noticed though, especially as a speaker, doing podcasts or doing like vertical 1-minute videos, whatever it is, the longer I take off, the harder it is to get back into it. Now I want you to think about this in your life. What is something that you want to be more consistent at, that you haven't been consistent at, that you've tried before, and then you get back into it? Touch that feeling inside of you. Like, take a moment to be like, what does it feel like when you've stopped doing it and you go to get back into it, and place that feeling? And the reason why I want you to place that feeling is because that's the feeling I want you to remember when you're challenged with not doing it. Right? It's almost like losing in hoop, right? Like you lose a game or whatever sport you may play. Like I hate losing more than I like winning. Hate losing. So sometimes the feeling of losing a game, I remember one time a coach told me, take that feeling and bottle it up and take it into your training, right? And then you try to channel that feeling of losing every time you go to the gym. And that's what you're building off of, is like, I don't want to feel this again. Now, obviously in sports, there's going to be a winner, there's going to be a loser. It just is what it is. But for me, I'm going to channel the feeling of remembering what it's like to prepare myself more, because that's the thing, right? Is after you take a long time off of something, after being consistent or trying to do something, it's going to take you longer to get back to the feeling of being confident than you were before. Right? And so the feeling of having to extra prep yourself up versus going to the gym, eating right, drinking your water, hanging out, do all whatever it is you're trying to be consistent at, getting up in the morning, going to bed on time, all these different avenues, whatever they are. Once you're consistent at them for about a week or 2 weeks, you're like, oh, okay, I can do this. This feels good, because you've developed a routine and a habit, right? So you've poured into and bought into the fact that consistency works. The second you take a break, the harder it becomes. And to go back to Master P's point, where consistency is what's going to help you reach the next level and get to the next level, is you'll never be able to get to the next level if you always hit that same ceiling. Again, I'm talking to you and I'm talking to me. So the challenge for me, right, is to just turn it into a lifestyle. And that may be the challenge for you as well, right? I want to challenge you to think of an area in your life that you're like, I want to add this into my lifestyle, add this into who I am, right? And commit and pour into this specific area, that the consistency becomes a part of who I am. And I will continue to be able to see what the next level looks like. So here's what I think that we can learn from Master P, right? Is being consistent increases your capacity. Master P taught us that being consistent increases your capacity. He started off being a rapper turned label owner to now having cereal and chips and shoes and top ramen and compact. Like, dude is doing it. So he proved through his hard work that if you are consistent and you stay at it, you are going to grow. When you grow, it's going to increase your capacity to do more. So the fact that you can get to the next level, you never know what your next level may be. I'm pretty sure if 32 years ago somebody said, "Hey yo, P Miller," I'm not sure that's what they called him, but I would assume, right? "Hey yo, P, hey yo, Mercy, P Mercy." What does it make? P Miller. See, this is exactly why I should just be giving people nicknames. Anywho, this is what they were saying. I imagine if somebody said to Master P, Mercy, where does Mercy come from? I think Mercy's connected to him some way. Anyways, let me get back on track. I think that if somebody said to Master P 32 years ago, "You about to have your own cereal," he would be like, "My own cereal?" You know what I'm saying? Like, you imagine a cat from the hood and somebody coming to him from 32 years in the future saying, "You gonna have your own cereal, your own chips, and your own sneaker." Now I could see, because he talks about being a visual dude, you know what I'm saying, a CEO, but like, who knows? At that point in time when he first got started, who knows if he probably been like, "Man, I'm just trying to rap and build this record label." I don't know, right? The point of what I'm trying to say here is you never know what your consistency can develop. You never know what you being consistent can turn into, and how it can, number two, create opportunities for you and other people. And so that's what I'm looking forward to, is seeing like, how is my consistency going to create opportunities for myself and for other people? So right, number one, consistency creates and increases capacity. Number two, consistency creates opportunities for you and other people. The fact that he was consistent, it allowed him to put other people on, right? Like, he ain't making the chips and the cereal and the shoes and all that. No, it allowed him to create jobs for other people. So somebody is dependent on you being consistent in a specific area, because that's going to positively impact their life. That's going to create jobs for them. That's going to allow somebody else to live out their vision, their dreams, because somebody else was being consistent, waiting for you to be consistent. And then when your two consistencies collide, now look what you got. You got chips, you got cereal, you got shoes, you got all the other different things that are popping off. Because again, it takes other people to be able to build really anything, right? It's not lonely at the top because you got a group of cats with you. And Master P teaches us that. The next thing Master P teaches, the third thing, is your consistency etches your legacy. The third thing Master P teaches us is your consistency etches your legacy. So think about it. If Master P never stayed consistent, if he never continued to get after it, if he never, or if he just was like, "Nah, I just want to rap, I don't want to do anything else," like, there'd be a whole lot of people would, I don't say without jobs, but would be doing maybe something different. There'd be a lot of his legacy in this way of being the mogul, the entrepreneur, the businessman, the CEO, all the things that he is, would never have come to fruition. And so all those things are a part of his legacy, but he's also leaving that legacy for his family and for other people, because he's speaking into a lot of other areas now, one being mental health and mental illness and drug addiction, but also speaking heavily on sports and being a father and all these different areas, right? Like, so his ability to be consistent in one area turned over to another area, and it just multiplied, it compounded, which created the legacy that he has today, which is legacy that we see. And God willing, he's continuing to live that joint out and really allowing it to blow up as big as I believe that he desires for it to be. But it's also creating space for other people to develop their legacy. So when we think about this, I want you to think about these last couple things, right? Is what do you need in order for you to develop a system to stay on track? Okay. Now we're talking about skills and drills here. Okay. So what is it that you need in order for you to be able to stay consistent with what it is that you're trying to be consistent in? I think the first thing that we need is a system to keep track, a system to do it, and then a system to keep track. The system to do it and a system to keep track. The system to do it says, I do this is how I do it, and this is how I'm going to make it happen. And then I'm going to have a system to help me keep track to see how often have I been consistent with this specific thing, right? And certain things may not be every day. They may be once a week. It depends on what that thing is, right? Excuse me, or once a month. The other piece is, or number two is, I want you to make peace with the early stages, okay, of the process. So remember that feeling we talked about when you're consistent, then you step back, you're like, I don't know. And then you go get in it and you have to talk yourself up. You have to remind yourself how confident you are. You have to remind yourself how good you are or that you can do it, right? Like make peace with the early stages of the process because it's going to be messy. It ain't going to feel good. It's going to feel funny. It's going to be awkward, all of that. So you have to make peace with just doing it, just putting it out there, right? And the third thing is find some accountability. Whether it is in people in your intimate life, whether it's to people on social media, or maybe it's their system. But I think that you need to reach outside of yourself and find some type of accountability that's going to help you be consistent. I just put out the call to you all, help hold me accountable. You know what I'm saying? You don't see no videos. Hey, Coach Rees, where you at? Call me out, right? But I also have people in my immediate life that are going to help hold me accountable as well. So thank you, Master P, for being the example that you have been when it comes to consistency. Again, the three things that Master P's consistency has taught us is, number one, being consistent increases our capacity. Number two, it allows you to put people on, right? So it creates opportunities for yourself and for other people. And number three, consistency etches your legacy. Now, take these three things, apply them to your life, figure out what areas do you want to be able to grow in, what areas do you need to be challenged to grow your consistency, and then do it. And then give yourself grace if you fall off and then get right back on and keep showing up. So this is Practice the Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Rees, episode 22. We back up in this thing, season 3. I'm excited to rock out with y'all and I look forward to seeing y'all next week. Until next time, remember that you are worthy of being the model that somebody needs you to be. Peace.